media.
Oh no, it's a podcast. It's happening to your ears right now. How could this be? Who did this to you?
No!
Why is this happening? Where is this happening? It's happening now, here, in your ears. I'm Robert Evans. This is Behind the Bastards. Cody Johnston with me in the studio, which is not a literal studio, but a metaphorical studio, a mind palace studio that exists purely in the space between our third eyes. Cody, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great in our shared studio of our hearts.
Yes, that's how we met each other. It was like a Jedi thing, years before we started working at Cracked in our mind studio, recording our mind podcast.
Wasn't even a website at that point.
No, there weren't websites.
Websites. We still had that meeting.
No, we knew each other in the womb, the creative womb. Cody, how are you feeling about RFK as we head into part 4?
God, I'm not confident in his ability to
You don't think this is going to turn out good?
I don't think so, man. It doesn't bode well.
No, there wasn't a lot of fun stuff in part 3, but he was still like, you could believe at least at points like, well, it seems like he's doing better than a lot of Kennedys are. There was an element of tragedy to him that gives you some sympathy. All of that's about to get flushed down the toilet, Cody. We are now at the part where he kills hundreds of people. Huzzah!
Wow.
We
did it, Joe.
Okay. We did it, Joe.
And you know what else we just did, Robert? The cold open. It's over.
We did the cold open. We're done.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
You're listening to a podcast, so you're doing something else too, like maybe scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving places you like without thinking you'll get them, because that's what house hunting has become. But Redfin isn't built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, which means when you find a place you love, you've got a real shot at getting it. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hey, this is U.S. Olympic gold medalist Tara Davis Woodhull.
And I'm U.S. Paralympic gold medalist Hunter Woodhull.
As athletes, our lives are about having a clear path.
And a team that you can absolutely trust.
So when it came to getting the best mortgage,
we chose PennyMac.
PennyMac is proud to be the official mortgage provider of Team USA and you.
Learn more at pennymac.com. PennyMac Loan Services, LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 35953. Licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Conditions and restrictions may apply.
We're back. We're warmed up. We're talking about RFK, plunging into the last chapter of the RFK saga. RFK Jr. saga. By the very start of the aughts, RFK Jr. seemed to finally have started figuring out his life and to have moved into a better place. In public, he was a respected environmental lawyer and assumed Democratic Party stalwart. Oppenheimer's book includes several quotes from members of the family who are like, again, thank God he didn't get into politics. He might actually be happy now, right? He's got a chance.
Yeah.
But behind his image, Bobby was not the man that his fans or the country hoped. In 2010, he started dating actor Cheryl Hines of Curb Your Enthusiasm fame.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this is that he was still married to his wife, Mary Richardson. Now, RFK Jr. had up to that point had a tumultuous love life. He had married his first wife, Emily, and had a child with her in 1994. They broke up later that same year. I assume his rampant cheating was a significant part of that, because that is a through line his entire life as a person who is in relationships.
Yeah.
He and Emily. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So he and Emily break up the same year that they have their first kid, and he immediately gets married again to Mary Richardson. Now, Mary is a successful architect. She is someone who has, done very well on her own, but she is also what has been described as a Kennedy super fan, right? She fucking right? So that's
no good.
That's not great.
Yeah.
That's not great. She's been obsessed with the family from a young age, and she
sorry, go ahead.
Cody, this story doesn't end well. And she eventually she made friends with one of Bobby's relatives. That's how she and Bobby meet, and they have 4 kids together after they get hitched. The two are together a long time, almost 20 years, but those are not happy years. Mary battles anorexia. She had battled anorexia earlier in her life. By the time they get together, she's on this carousel of medications and therapy that are not always good for her mental health. She struggles with depression, and Bobby's constant cheating does not help with that. Turns out that does not make your depression better. Who could have guessed, right? She'll go into these spirals that can last days or weeks, and a lot of this is not known at the time of the writing of books like After Camelot, which cites Bobby's claims about Mary's drinking and her regular violent outbursts. And if you just were to have gotten it from the book After Camelot, you would assume, well, this is a bad marriage, and Bobby certainly probably did some things wrong, but this lady was, kind of out of control and aggressive, and poor guy, what else could he have done, right? There's no living in that situation. That's what it would have seemed like from some of the early reporting on it. Now, more modern reporting, the stuff coming out now, blames Bobby basically for everything that went wrong in this marriage. So, it's one of those things where you kind of have 2 versions of this story, and one, Bobby is mostly a victim. He's a man trapped in an abusive marriage to a woman struggling with substance abuse issues and prone to violence. The other version of the story is that Mary is somebody with some substance abuse issues, but she is also somebody who is constantly discovering her husband cheating on her, sometimes by sexually harassing and assaulting very young women. And yeah, she hits him sometimes, but she hits him in part because she is finding out about these really terrible, unforgivable things that he's done, and she's breaking down, right? Yeah, which, is a different picture than just, well, she's so out of control because she's depressed that Bobby couldn't stand it anymore, right? Bobby's a much more active participant in the modern version of the story.
There are reasons for this.
Yeah, for the behavior. Now, to be clear, the couple's children, this is also, I do think some of the modern versions of the story have sought to elide Mary of some of her responsibility, and I don't think that's entirely accurate, because the couple's kids testify about her outbursts, which are bad enough that when the divorce process starts in 2010, she's denied unmediated access to the kids, right? Because she is not in control of herself to an extent that is problematic, right? But all of the times that she allegedly struck Bobby are not just examples of her being abusive, they're violent reactions to some pretty horrific abusive behavior on Bobby's part. And so you get passages like this in After Camelot. Quote, based on a sworn affidavit Bobby filed in Westchester County's New York Supreme Court on September 16, 2011, he had been victimized by Mary for many years, to the extent that physical abuse was involved. He testified that early in his marriage to Mary, the two had a blazing argument over his continued friendship with his first wife, Emily, during which Mary hit me in the face with her fist. She was a trained boxer, and I got a shiner. Her engagement ring crushed my tear duct, causing permanent damage. He testified that she asked him to lie to her family about the cause of his black eye. He also testified to a time in May 2011 when Mary ran over and killed the family's dog in the driveway. She asked the couple's youngest son, Aiden, to call Bobby and give him the news. When he asked the crying child to put his mother on the line, according to Bobby's testimony, Mary demanded that he come to the house and spend the night there in order to help her calm down the children. When he hesitated, she became upset and said that if he didn't recommit to the marriage and call off the divorce, she would kill herself.
Don't kill the family dog.
I don't think she meant to.
No,
but maybe she would did that to try to get Bobby back. Like it's just a bad time. Those poor kids, right?
Those poor kids.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier that a lot of writing on the Kennedys is of mixed provenance. A lot of it's tabloid level kind of shit. One of these tabloid level things is a book called Ask Not, The Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed. That title is just a little, I don't know, exploitative to me. This book was published before, though, most of the allegations against RFK came out. This is before his presidential run and whatever. And the author, Maureen Callahan, claims that the whole horrible story of Mary hitting the dog with her car happens right after she finds out about yet another affair. Maureen writes that she was, quote, so hysterical that she'd run out of the house, gotten in her car, backed out of the driveway, and accidentally run over and killed Portia, the family dog. Now, some of the pieces of this story were around in the After Camelot days. You just had to poke a bit at the edges of the stuff in the mainstream reporting. And there's even this passage in After Camelot that includes a quote from Mary during one of her fights with Bobby. He is a demon. He is a demon. He is the most evil kind of man in the world. Everything he does is evil and a fraud. He's a philanderer, an adulterer, a sex addict.
I mean, that seems accurate.
Yeah, and this is a Bobby. This is the Bobby that exists while he's doing all this wonderful stuff at Riverkeeper, while he's staying sober. Like, he's among other things.
Kennedy stuff.
It's Kennedy stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's Kennedy stuff, and, his wife was somebody who had pre-existing mental health issues, and this just absolutely demolishes her.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Callahan claims that Bobby tried to get a therapist to diagnose his wife in order to for the court process, right? So that he could basically cut her out of having access to the kids. Yeah. And you'll hear a lot that she had BPD, that she was a borderline personality disorder. That may be where the claims of BPD came in. There's allegations that Bobby basically shopped around for a doctor. The therapist who spoke to Callahan and said that he tried to get them to diagnose his wife basically suggests that, this is something he did for the divorce. He may have basically been bribing medical professionals. Those are allegations made. I can't speak to their veracity. Here's the next part of that story, though, as reported in an article recently published in Vanity Fair. After Kennedy left her, Richardson proposed that she live in the guest house while Kennedy and Hines lived in the main house and that she keep the Kennedy name. He declined and then tried to avoid paying her child support, using his brain fog as a medical excuse for alleged financial straits. Richardson, her behavior increasingly erratic, eventually lost custody of the children to Kennedy. The Kennedy family, including Carrie, who had once been like a sister to Richardson, began to distance themselves from her. On May 16, 2012, Richardson's housekeeper discovered Richardson hanging from the rafters in the barn.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's bleak. It's a bleak story.
It's really bleak.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I don't even know.
Hard to laugh on a podcast about anything there.
I'm not sure what to say other than
that's just
a really,
devastating.
Really terrible series of events. And like I said, those poor kids.
Yeah. Mary's family describe RFK Jr.'s behavior as psychological torture, and they even try to do a wrongful death suit. Now, I don't know, was he intending to hurt her? I don't have evidence of that, certainly, but his behavior is would inevitably cause harm, right?
Well, it doesn't need to be intentional. It's just that's how how he is in his life, floating through it.
Yeah.
And treating people in this way and doing
other
that.
people aren't real, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Yeah. So Bobby and their kids make the decision to have Mary buried on Kennedy land, not the place her family had requested as a burial plot. And 8 months later, Bobby made the decision to have his ex-wife exhumed and reburied away from everyone else. Very unclear as to why.
What?
It's a weird thing, and I don't see any good explanation for this. The author of After Camelot describes this as like a bleak coda to her whole life story. Mary had always been a lonely person. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
right?
It is. That's...
Yeah, and he just wants to keep her away, even in death, from her family, from everyone else.
Yeah. Was she relocated to where she was originally requested to be?
No.
Why?
What?
It's unclear.
That's so weird.
Yeah. The author of After Camelot is basically like, Mary had always been lonely, and now he wanted to keep her away even further, even in death. I don't know if that's
accurate. Cool. So he did it for the poetry? Like, what? Like,
yeah, he did it for the poetry, just like Byron.
Just like Byron.
Just like Byron.
That's so, all right.
Great.
Weird move, Bobby. Like,
weird one,
yourself. Bobby. What the fuck? Like,
yeah. Now, during the initial stages of divorce proceedings is the first time that we get Bobby Kennedy making any claims about having a worm in his brain. And you saw earlier, right, that he's like, well, I can't pay because my brain fog, I fucked up the finances because my brain doesn't work anymore because a worm ain't part of it. And the fact that this comes out, he is repeatedly lying to his wife and to this, allegedly lying to this divorce court and is actively divorcing her, has led a number of folks to question if the brainworm stuff is true. I think there's enough evidence in here that it's plausible that he has a brainworm.
Plausible. But it's unclear what period of time he got the brainworm, because it could have been literally any moment of his life.
Yeah.
But he's definitely...
Anytime he's eating bushmeat, which is always...
The situation, it's believable.
Yeah,
he's placed himself in
could be.
But
just because the brainworm is likely doesn't mean he's always been honest about how he got it, as you kind of insinuated. In that 2012 deposition, Kennedy said that he had suffered from cognitive issues that had reduced his earning power. He claimed his doctors initially saw a shadow on his brain, right? That is the worm, but they thought it was like a tumor maybe. And he had a planned operation at Duke, but he says he got a call from a doctor at the last minute who was like, no, it's a parasite. But in a YouTube interview, the day after this story broke into the mainstream, he gave a different version of events where a random Irish doctor encountered him and saw his x-rays and was like, no, I don't think this merits surgery. We just have to wait to see if it gets better. It's something else. Anyway, it doesn't matter which version of events is true, just that, like, they're kind of different. He can't keep his stories straight in public, maybe because the brain worm that ate part of his brain.
Yeah, right. The part that remembers where you got the brain worm was destroyed by the brain worm.
That's the first part that the brain worm. If you know anything about brain worms,
they're going
Cody,
straight for that part.
They go straight for the part of the brain that remembers you have a brain
worm.
They
don't want you to know where you got it. Then you won't get it again.
Right. They want you to keep getting those brain worms. That's how they breed.
Exactly.
Now, it doesn't really matter, which of these slightly different versions of events is true. What matters is that, he's not keeping his story straight in public. It's worth noting that in response to widespread mirth about his literal brain worms, Bobby wrote this on Twitter. I offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate. I feel confident in the result, even with a 6-worm handicap.
One of the better tweets that has been sent, honestly. I loved seeing that.
That's so funny.
It was the best thing he could have posted.
It really is very funly.
It's so good and true. Not on like being correct about the issues, but in his ability to like communicate. I think he kind of nailed his confidence there.
What's extra funny, Robert, is you were writing this script while we were sitting in the RNC convention.
Yeah. I didn't disagree. Yeah. Now,
it's so good.
I know that up to this point, most of the bastardry in Bobby's life has been confined to his personal life, with the notable exception of intervening in the Skakel murder trial. But in the early aughts, starting a few years before Mary's death, Bobby began to get increasingly involved with the movement that would lead him to causing the greatest amount of harm so far that he has caused to the world. The genesis of the problem started with his work at Waterkeeper. This is a different environmental nonprofit from Riverkeeper, one that focuses on drinking water and fighting back against corporate pollution of water sources. Some of the cases Bobby was involved in were focused on mercury levels in migratory fish, and this led to him studying and reading about the health consequences of exposure to various chemicals, including mercury. Now, you don't want to get exposed to mercury. That's not great for you, Cody. I don't know. I know that you're a big mercury guy, but I worry about you, and it's not good for you. It's less of a health tonic than you might think.
It's not good for other people, and I don't recommend it to other people. But no problem so far.
All right, well,
I'm blurging fine. My speak is good, so don't whatever you said that I remember. All
Cody,
right,
why don't you murk out, and our listeners can also take the capitalist equivalent of mercury, which is mercury, but it's also the products and services that support this podcast. It is just mercury.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
We're back. God, I love Mercury. I like the way it moves like that.
I do
The way
too.
it tastes. Yeah.
It's
Bobby
incredible.
doesn't like Mercury. And he doesn't like Mercury in part because he thinks it's in vaccines. And he thinks that, and there's like trace different kinds of chemicals in vaccines, but like in levels that are not going to be a health threat. You know, it's like you shouldn't have too much nitrogen, but it's in your oxygen. You'll be okay.
It's in the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume they would go like, oh, well, that's too much mercury. We shouldn't pump people full of that.
Yeah. They're aware this is not really a problem, but Bobby becomes convinced that it is. And Bobby is not a doctor. Again, he is a lawyer. And it's not surprising that years of focusing on chemical exposure in waterways might have transferred over to other things. Because while he is kind of obsessively fighting and reading about all of this mercury poisoning, he and Mary have their first son, Connor. And Connor has a soy and peanut allergy. These are serious allergies. And, RFK Jr., given all of the family members that have died, is a man who was primed to be extra upset about this and perhaps unreasonably obsessed with why it had happened. So he dedicates himself to figuring out a reason why, and he lands on mercury exposure as the cause of Connor's allergies, right?
Why?
That this is because he's obsessively reading about and fighting with corporations about mercury exposure in waterways. His son gets an allergy, and there is a belief among certain weird health anti-vax types that mercury exposure in vaccines causes allergies in children, right? This has existed for more than 20 years now, this belief that like these trace chemicals in vaccines are causing our kids to develop weird allergies, because it can't, my son who has this potentially life-threatening allergy that scares me, it can't just be because some kids have allergies. There has to be a reason, right? There has to be something I can crusade against.
Right, I was going to say, like, it needs to be some, like, entity that I can actually, like, go after. Like, it can't just be like, oh, that happens. It's got to be like, no, I have a focus, I have a target, and I can use the power of the Kennedys to destroy that target.
Now, I want to make it clear that this is vigorously disproved nonsense. I found a 2023 study published by the Japan Environment Children's Study Group. They collected and explored data from more than 94,000 mother-infant pairs and looked at how prenatal metallic element exposure might correlate to food allergies. To make a long story short, they concluded, quote, no association was found between prenatal mercury or manganese exposure and the risk of allergic diseases, right? That's a very large study. It's not the only thing you can find on the subject, but there is no evidence that this is a thing at all. And in fact, pretty strong evidence that it's not. But Bobby believes in it, right? And one of our sources on how kind of obsessed he is with mercury poisoning during the kind of early to mid-aughts is Cooney, that babysitter he harassed, who told Vanity Fair that he told her Connor's allergies were likely because of vaccines he'd received that had mercury in them. And, Kennedy has claimed later in other writings that right around the same time, he starts meeting with groups of mothers who start handing him research about mercury in the MMR vaccine and how it's causing autism, right?
The original Facebook group.
Yeah, just like a mom handing you a sheaf of paper she printed out. He becomes acquainted with Andrew Wakefield and Wakefield's absolutely disgraced study that was published in 1998. But obviously the fact that this is all nonsense and that Wakefield is completely disgraced eventually from it doesn't stop him from becoming, famous among a whole host of Hollywood weirdos like Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey. And obviously Bobby Kennedy is right there in the center of it. This is the kind of cause that Bobby loves to drag himself towards. He's a Kennedy, so he's not the little guy, but he gets to be the little guy when he's fighting these big corporate polluters or when he's dealing with, this vaccine conspiracy that's getting mercury into kids, right? And because he's, the Kennedy that he is, he always has access to the news media, even when he shouldn't. He's friends with the publisher of Rolling Stone at the time, Jan Winter, and he gets Winter to agree, along with the editors of Salon, to let him co-publish a story he wrote about vaccines, which is basically him repeating Wakefield's research. So he gets Rolling Stone and Salon to dual publish an article written by him in 2011 about how vaccines cause autism. And they have since retracted the paper because of fucking course. But the fact that it gets out there at all, it's evidence that just by being a Kennedy, he gets to skip the line, right? He's not just a guy he often gets portrayed as just another anti-vaxxer who got wrapped up in this. No. He is how he's a big part of how it breaks containment. The Kennedy name he uses. Yeah,
because it would have had some editor going through it. Yeah, with rigorous actual looking at fact checking and stuff. I'm well, this is
who the fuck is this guy, right?
Yeah, we're not going to publish this, but it's Kennedy, so you just we'll publish that, sure.
One thing I find myself explaining to a lot of liberals in the modern era is how they'll hear about organic food hippies or crystal healing types who have gone hard MAGA and be well, but those guys are left weirdos, right? Those guys are weirdos who are on our side of things, right? That's how it's always been. And Bobby Kennedy pulls them out of the left. He is a big part of that, right? Because there's so much gravity to the Kennedy name as he comes sailing over that political divide line in our society. He pulls a huge chunk of the weird left with him because he's still this guy who's celebrated in progressive circles for his work in environmental law. So when he gets to anti-vax shit, it has a big impact.
Yeah, he also he sort of grants validity to it. Even if you weren't doing all this publishing stuff and actually getting the bad information out there, he's still just sort of saying I believe this and I'm a Kennedy, therefore you can, and sort of convincing people they can have these sort of contradictory positions and have, I don't know. It's a real phenomenon.
Yeah, it's real and it's cool and it's good.
It's all that.
Yeah. Bobby is an important part of the journey of a chunk of, fringe kind of woo culture over to the right. Because the myth of the Kennedy family is a huge deal for everyone in society, right? There's a guy, to go back to the Trump shooting, when he got shot, there's a dude standing directly behind him that thousands of QAnon believers think is literally John F. Kennedy Jr. in disguise because JFK Jr. didn't die in the plane crash. He's hiding. He's waiting to coronate,
the new American
king or some shit. Yeah. And that guy, that fake Kennedy, is standing directly behind Trump when he gets shot at because why not? Why not? We're just doing Mad Libs in America today.
It's wild. Nothing is real.
Nothing is real. Now, the fact that Bobby became a vocal advocate for anti-vax shit has a big impact, and it helps impart a gravitas and credibility to this crowd. The particular brand of scum who have crusted to the rim of the anti-vax movement tend to have precisely one skill, which is an instinctive knowledge of branding. Once they see there's a Kennedy in the mix, there is a feeding frenzy over who gets to be his friend, right? Like, this guy could take us everywhere we want to go. Let's see who can win in a scrum to actually get to, like, be his best buddy. And the winner here is Del Bigtree. Great name for a weirdo vaccine conspiracy theorist. Del is a former TV producer who has in recent years become a regular guest on the Alex Jones Show. I mostly encountered Del before this through the podcast Knowledge Fight, which chronicles Jones. Del is also the CEO of the Informed Consent Action Network. And if you know, now that we know something about Bobby Kennedy, if he's involved with an organization, it absolutely shouldn't be the Informed Consent Action Network. He's not great on informed consent.
Maybe he can, like, take a seminar.
He should take a class on informed consent.
He can learn something from them, but maybe he shouldn't be heavily involved.
Yeah, he shouldn't be helping to run things.
Yeah.
Del produced the documentary Vaxxed. Del has no relevant medical training. He has absolutely no reason to be talking about any of this stuff, but he did once produce a TV show called The Doctors, and that really is all it takes with a chunk of the country.
All it takes. God. We're so cooked. We're so doomed.
Yeah, we're a little doomed. We might be a little doomed. Maybe it'll be okay,
less,
Cody.
We'll see. It'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe it'll be okay. Maybe we're all maybe we're gonna shake all this off like a fever.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
A man can dream. A man can hope. As I stated earlier, Del has an instinctive understanding of PR and how to do the slow work of ideological capture. He focused on doing rallies and outreach to communities that were primed for an anti-vaccine message. Hasidic Jewish synagogues were a particular favorite of his. Kennedy gave him inroads into an even larger community, Americans who still thought back mournfully to the what could have been of Camelot. Bigtree connected Kennedy to Wakefield, and the three did numerous appearances together. RFK Jr. starts writing anti-vax books with titles like Vax, Unvax, Let the Science Speak. And I don't know how much of these he's actually writing. Again, it's kind of like that thing with his thesis. Is he just, because he puts out so many books.
Yeah.
He's like more than one a year sometimes. I kind of think he's just paying people to write books for him. And he's like, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the Kennedy name's on it, and I agree with the message.
Yeah. Or the worm's working overtime.
Or, that poor worm.
Just
I'm really starting to feel sorry for the worm.
A lot of sleepless nights for that worm, just hunched over the brain while RFK is hunched over the typewriter.
So just chain smoking cigarettes, putting them out in his corpus callosum.
Well, that's where the brain fog came from the worm smoking cigarettes in the skull. Right?
Oh, fuck. Now, by this point, RFK Jr. is firmly flirting with the fringes. But this stuff had also not been politicized like it is today. Every mainstream political figure was against the anti-vax weirdos, right? George W. Bush was not a big anti-vax guy, right? And so during that kind of period, it's not super obvious which political party you would want to be on if you're this kind of weirdo, right? You're certainly not necessarily gravitating towards the Republican Party, right? Up to the early 2000s, RFK Jr. still hung out with Bill Clinton on occasion and counted himself a member of the liberal elite. Vanity Fair traces the moment when this changed to 2014. Quote, Kennedy married Hines in a wedding attended by a glittering array of friends, including Larry David and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and moved to Los Angeles. The move marked a reinvention of sorts, distancing Kennedy from his East Coast network and perhaps removing some of the built-in guardrails that had tempered his worst impulses. In addition to consulting for companies seeking his environmental seal of approval, he chaired the 501c3 nonprofit Children's Health Defense, which began in 2007 under the name World Mercury Project and inveighed against vaccines and fluoride in the water. So he moves to Hollywood, and that's kind of what cuts the tethers to reality for this guy. Obviously, some of this is Larry David's fault. I think none of us is surprised of that, Whenever anything evil happens in the world, I assume Larry David's got some involvement in it. Yeah, he's somewhere up in there.
He's pissing somebody off.
Larry David in Darfur. There's an episode of Curb in that.
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably shouldn't do that. Anyway, The World Mercury Project had been founded in 2007, and today, under the name Children's Health Defense, Bobby presides as chairman over a $15 million a year organization. They particularly target new parents and minority communities. During the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, they launched a media campaign to argue that COVID was not, in fact, very dangerous, and people should avoid the vaccine at all costs. They are particularly pushing this in Black communities. The CHD targets Black Americans with propaganda, comparing the COVID vaccine to the Tuskegee syphilis study. Basically, Bobby's like, hey, you know how you don't trust the government because it's fucked you around? Why would you take this vaccine? Just kind of raw dog COVID. It'll be fine. It's better than letting the government experiment on you. It's not just, Bobby's shit that feeds into this. There's a lot of socioeconomic stuff. So it's hard to say how much of this is Bobby's doing, how much of vaccine hesitancy in the United States is Bobby doing. But the CHD is like, people who have gone in and looked at social media will note that propaganda spread by the CHD is some of the widest spreading anti-vaccine and like anti-COVID-19 sane, reasonable prevention statistics propaganda that goes out on the internet. It spreads incredibly widely, right? So you can't really say, here's how many people Bobby killed by doing this. But I would argue that by any reasonable stretch of the imagination, he beats Ted's Chappaquiddick count. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Drunk driving may be the least dangerous thing for the Kennedys to get involved in. Yeah. Analysis by NBC News claims that the CHD is one of the top 3 sources of fake news about the coronavirus vaccine on the entire internet. Basically by any argument, there's a body count RFK has that's very significant.
There's some sort of negative health count regardless. Like he's hurt people. Or prevented them from not getting hurt from like seeking, basic reasonable help for their situation. And telling them apparently that COVID's fine and you should feel fine getting it, which again, a community did get disproportionately. Maybe that is bad.
Yeah. And if we want to talk about like the greatest harm or the clearest harm that he's done, the easiest body count we can draw to him, that's going to bring us to 2018 and the Samoan Islands. Have you heard this story, Cody?
I don't think so.
Oh boy, this is bad. This is a real bad one.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I don't. Do I want to hear this?
Oh boy, Cody. In 2018, 2 children in the Samoan Islands died after catastrophic reactions to the MMR vaccine. Now, that is how it was spun initially, right? The reality is that 2 nurses fucked up horribly in administering the vaccines and dosed both children with massive quantities of expired muscle relaxers. Now, this is a terrible thing, right?
Yeah.
It's evidence that there's issues with those nurses, that there's probably issues with the facilities, right? This happens and a lot does need to change, right? Like you don't just go like, well, sometimes shit happens, right? This is evidence of serious breakdowns in how this process ought to work.
Yeah.
But RFK Jr. takes it as like, this is proof that the vaccines that I blame for my son's allergies are a threat to life and limb, right? So he throws himself and his organization, all of their resources, into spreading anti-vaccine propaganda just in Samoa, right? And because he's a Kennedy, and because he's got a shitload of money to spend on this ad campaign, people listened. The Samoan prime minister was not used to dealing with social media campaigns of this scale and sophistication. The rapid outcry cultivated by RFK's organization caused him to announce a halt to the administration of the MMR vaccine across Samoa. Because of this campaign he launches, the Samoan government stops rolling out the MMR vaccine, right? They put a pause on it, basically. In June of... and this is going to have a pretty catastrophic result. In June of 2019, Kennedy and his new wife, Cheryl Hines, flew to Samoa for a press blitz and a private meeting with the prime minister. Now, this is a great time for Bobby, but while he schmoozed, measles was starting to percolate throughout the community, infecting huge numbers of now unvaccinated little kids. In months, there was an epidemic, infecting nearly 6,000 people and leading to 83 deaths. The vast majority of those deaths are extremely young children. These are 83 deaths that we can tie directly to Bobby Kennedy.
Do they halt? Wait, they halted vaccines generally?
Well, no, the MMR vaccine.
Okay.
Which is measles, mumps, and rubella.
Okay.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah. Robert Offutt, a member of the FDA advisory committee who analyzed the epidemic later, concluded Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had everything to do with that, and it shows you how disinformation can kill. So that's
he
bad.
killed those people. He killed those kids.
He killed all those kids.
He's like literally the reason that those kids are dead. That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
He gave those kids measles.
Mm-hmm. He sure did.
He got them. Bobby.
What do you even say at a certain point?
Bobby.
You say Bobby.
Like, you didn't. Why did you? Does he care that this happened? Does he know? Does he understand? Does he understand that this happened?
I'm sure he knows, and he doesn't think it's his fault in the slightest.
We're getting to that, Cody. We're getting to that. But first, let's get to some ads. Then we'll come back.
Cool.
We'll come back and talk about this. Okay.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Life gets messy. Spills, stains, pet accidents, and kid chaos. But with Anabe, cleaning up is easy. Our sofas are fully machine washable, inside and out, so you never have to stress about messes again. Made with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics, that means fewer stains and more peace of mind. Designed for real life, our sofas feature changeable fabric covers, allowing you to refresh your style anytime. Need flexibility? Our modular design lets you rearrange your sofa effortlessly. Perfect for cozy apartments or spacious homes. Plus, they're earth-friendly and built to last. That's why over 200,000 happy customers have made the switch. Upgrade your space today. Sofas start at just $699. Visit washablesofas.com now and bring home a sofa made for life. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
We're back. Wow. And you know what? I after listening to those ads, my opinion is completely different. Cody, let's get the MMR vaccine sucked out of our bodies.
No.
I think we have to.
I'm back on board. Thank you, RFK Jr.
I'm gonna say no.
Nope. Sophie, what's what we're doing? I got a vacuum rigged up on reverse.
I don't want allergies.
Yeah.
No.
Gonna cut my arm, suck out the blood, filter out the MMR, and squirt it right back in.
Sophie, don't make me put rotting meat in your fridge.
As somebody with a shit ton of allergies, give me that vaccine.
Okay. Speaking from experience, all right?
So that Samoan epidemic was so devastating that the prime minister reversed course, declared a state of emergency, and put a vaccine mandate in place.
Good.
Once people started getting vaccinated again, the measles epidemic ended.
Wow.
Now, any reasonably humble and aware person would have recognized at this point, oh, I have fucked up in an unforgivable way, right? Obviously, my actions caused this, and obviously, as soon as they stopped listening to me, it got better. Well, I fucked up, right?
Fucked up.
Yeah. That's not what happens because, Cody, being a Kennedy means you only have to listen to reality when it sends a bullet your way, right? Like that is the essence of this family. And
That's
so
not the lesson to learn, man. God, so many better lessons from all this.
Yeah, quite a few of them. RFK Jr. ignored the fact that he had gotten his way, children had died, and his whole ideology of vaccine hesitancy had been shredded. When confronted by a filmmaker for an upcoming documentary, Bobby refused to even acknowledge what he'd done. I had nothing to do with people not vaccinating in Samoa. I never told anybody not to vaccinate.
What? How can he
I
do
guess
that?
That's true.
Like I said,
You just told them the vaccine was dangerous and whipped them up into a frenzy.
We're not allowing
a man not taking responsibility for his own actions. Oh my! What?
Yeah, it's
Bobby,
pretty funny.
You can't do that. You can't say that. I mean, you can, obviously.
I guess you can.
He's like, it was the worm.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them not to take it. I just said if they did, they'd die.
Yeah, exactly. I just told them it was going to kill their kids. Not my fault that they acted based on that. Now, with
a campaign, with a fucking organization that
your multi-million-dollar propaganda arm,
Bobby.
Robert, it's just so interesting the selective choice he has to understand what his last name means to people. Like the fact that a Kennedy, saying to people, don't do a thing, he forgets the weight of that. He forgets that people take that name seriously, and he's like, what, me? Who? People dead? Couldn't have been. What?
But he totally knows because he uses it all the time.
But he
in
knows
order to do these things.
It's selective.
He's best at using.
Yeah, it's selective choice.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as a man, we're all good at that, right? That's really the superpower of our. Oh, wow, Sophie. I mean, wow. I don't disagree, but you shouldn't say it on the air.
You can't just say that.
I selectively say it. Not all of you are trash, except all of you are trash.
Too bad, Sophie. Twitter already heard you say the first thing, and they are angry.
They're not happy.
They're gonna lose their minds.
Really tired of listening to men lie.
Got a lot of checks in your replies.
But it's so easy.
And
I know.
Easy to get away with.
Easy to get away with. You should see what I'm doing in Samoa. Jesus. Whew, boy.
Yeah, but at least you told me the truth about that.
Yeah, I did. I did.
That's good, at least.
So, in subsequent conversations, Kennedy would suggest that the measles epidemic had in fact been caused by the vaccines. He also claimed that allowing dozens of people to die by inciting vaccine hesitancy was an experiment, quote, to measure health outcomes following the natural experiment created by the National Respite from Vaccines. And if that's the case, I'd say we learned what happens when you have a natural respite from vaccines.
Yeah, do you need to do another fucking experiment? You need to get in the lab again, Bobby? The lab being fucking the world.
I think we might need to do another experiment. No, I'm not going to make a Kennedy assassination reference, but you know what I was going to say.
But
right?
there's the implication was there.
Yeah.
Robert. Bobby.
It's always Bobby's. So,
God. That's infuriating. We don't have to dwell on this. That's so fucking
it's the worst.
It's just crazy. Well, I didn't do it. And if anything, because he said he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Yeah. He didn't even do with it. Yeah. And then he's like, well, yeah, I did it. It was an experiment and it fucking ruled.
It was great.
What are these two thoughts you have? What
is wrong with you?
What is fucking wrong with you?
He's such a piece of shit.
God.
Now, again, in an ethical society, I think the way you would deal with this guy would involve a catapult and the sea. I think you would catapult him into the sea, right? I think we should catapult more people into the sea.
A large lake.
Yeah, sure. Maybe one of the Great Lakes.
Really,
right?
really big lake. But
yeah. We've got some big lakes. We have options for bodies of water to catapult people into. But in our society, that's not how we punish this sort of thing. Instead, Kennedy was feted by some of the wealthiest and most influential celebrities around. He got to guest on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he published 6 books of vaccine disinformation, and donations to his charity doubled. Yeah.
That's too many books. That's an unbelievable amount of books, man.
I'm sorry. I don't think you're able to write all those books.
I don't think you're doing that, man. Just do 2. That's plausible.
Maybe you wrote an outline and had a ghostwriter come in there.
He wrote the titles for these books.
Yeah, maybe and they're not good titles.
Of course they're not.
Now, Kennedy has also made repeated statements that he believes in a link between vaccines and autism. I should not need to explain that this is hooey. The reason why autism rates seem to have skyrocketed is that it wasn't a thing that we diagnosed or recognized for a very long time. So when you start to realize that it is one thing, it will look like there's a surge in it. That's not what's happened, right?
Seeing it.
Yeah, oftentimes kids, that we now know are children who have autism, you would diagnose them with like one of a dozen other things, right?
We're pattern recognizing, categorizing species. We like categorizing things and then recognizing patterns.
We like that, but we do not like critical rational thought. Not our favorite thing.
No.
Yeah.
Or accountability.
RFK Jr. has stated that increase in autism rates is a literal Holocaust. Now, you might notice there's some stuff that's messed up about that because the Holocaust killed people and children with autism are alive.
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
That might
those
be.
Children are doing fine.
Yes, they're not dead,
okay.
in fact.
They're not dead. They're living full and happy lives.
Yeah.
What a fucking weird thing to say.
What a weird thing to say. It's especially weird because he can't keep to one side of the Holocaust comparisons because he has also compared being a wealthy anti-vaxxer who gets to go on the most influential media programs in the world as being like Anne Frank.
He's a victim of the Holocaust. And yeah,
I'm an Anne Frank.
I knew what you were going to say.
Stuck in the attic of Joe Rogan's fucking podcast.
Like, it's fucking like this attic is fucking above a studio and like below. Like,
yeah. Yeah. What if Anne Frank had been one of the most influential media personalities of her day?
I gotta go on this $1 billion podcast.
Yeah. And also, what if no one had ever tried to hurt her?
Also, I don't know if you heard, but I'm a Kennedy.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
she'd had
maybe-
$500 million. Yeah. Other than that, great comparison.
And like just sexually harassing everybody that he meets.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons not to compare him.
There's a lot of reasons not to compare yourself to
Yeah.
Anne Frank. Also, a lot of reasons not to say that kids with autism are like victims of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
like
great.
him.
He's
Like I never, like from the beginning, obviously, but like, man, he really ramped it up.
Yeah, no, he does. He does. By the end here, we're fully in like world-class piece of shit territory.
God.
Now, Bobby and his organizations also did a lot to spread conspiracy theories that COVID is somehow ethnically targeted against people who are not Jewish or Chinese, a thing that is not possible. All this disinformation caused him to suffer mild consequences during that brief shining period in the early pandemic when some social media sites occasionally punished people for trying to spread vaccine hesitancy, right? Meta banned his Instagram account once the COVID pandemic took off, and Kennedy sued the Biden administration for this, blaming them based on absolutely nothing whatsoever for pressuring Zuckerberg.
Oh, you need to get Matt Taibbi on the case.
Yeah.
Maybe
Joe Biden got me banned from Instagram.
The Instagram files.
I
Joe
don't-
Biden's like, Mark, we gotta get.
I don't know if Zuck can be fucked like that.
No, he's certainly not going like it. Just
I'm
none
sorry.
of it makes
I'm
sense.
sorry. I
That's
upset Cody with that statement. I saw Cody's face.
Oh.
It's fine. We're fine.
I'm so sorry.
I'm reacting to everything.
I'm so sorry.
It's a collective face. It's a. You wouldn't get cooked like that, though. You're right. Yeah. I don't know, man. Go call Joe Biden. You're a Kennedy. Like, go ask
call
him
Joe
yourself.
Biden. You're a Kennedy. Yeah. With that patented Kennedy magic, Bobby turned getting banned into a cause worthy of breaking his lifelong absence from personal involvement in electoral politics, and he turned it into the core of his presidential campaign. Vanity Fair quotes a relative as saying social media was his stash, and banning his account put him into withdrawal. If so, we might see his present campaign as a relapse. Bobby Kennedy is now shooting up the heroin of political prominence. Multiple sources have noted that he remains obsessed with the loss of 800,000 followers, for which he blames Joe Biden. I found one New Yorker interview where the journalist pointed out, hey, you're like one of the most vocal and heard men on planet Earth with access to like the Joe Rogan show and everything. How do you claim that you're persecuted? And he responded, I am, since I declared for president. But before that, I was deplatformed. I was deplatformed completely from 800,000 followers were taken from me on Instagram at the behest of the White House.
Again.
Just the White House's claim.
No.
But also,
There's that can happen with addicts when after an extended period of sobriety, a dam breaks. And with Bobby, the dam breaking let out a flood of narcissism, right? He doesn't fall back into drugs as far as we know, but he's treating fame and social media that way, right?
Yeah,
it is hooked up to his arm, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't, don't need to go on a tangent, but like, I feel like Russell Brand dealt a lot with that exact thing of like, you replace it with conspiracies or right now it's Catholicism. But, you need to fill that space. And there are a lot of unhealthy options out there that that exist in order to keep you there.
Right.
And to make it worse.
That are made to be addictive.
They're designed for that exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So one of the things that Bobby can't accept that I think plays into all this is that he is now an old man. He hasn't aged. I would say prior to this, you wouldn't say he'd aged terribly, but he's an old man, right?
Sure.
And when he, so he starts shooting up steroids, basically, right? When he comes out to announce his presidential campaign in April of 2023, people who had known him for years were shocked by how he looked. He's all puffy and bloated with steroids. He says that he's on organic testosterone, which, like, you're just on gear, man. You're just on gear. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if the gear is organic. My methamphetamine's organic. Right? It comes from a plant, right?
All natural.
Yeah. It's not, it's just you're on test, brother. Like, and I'm sure you're on other shit, but like, come on. One close family friend described him as unrecognizable now.
Yeah.
Bobby's presidential campaign wears the drag of an independent grassroots effort, but there's funding behind it from some of the most powerful and wealthy people in this country. His VP pick is Nicole Shanahan, who you may not know much about, but she is the ex-wife of Sergey Brin and got the job because she has ex-wife of Sergey Brin money that she can throw into the campaign. Vanity Fair explains that additional funding came from, quote, Timothy Mellon, an heir to the Mellon banking fortune, who was given $30 million to the super PAC supporting Kennedy, while also giving $50 million to Donald Trump's campaign, an alignment of interests that critics suspect is strategic, financing Kennedy's campaign to draw votes from Joe Biden and therefore boost Trump. His campaign manager is his own daughter-in-law, Amaryllis Fox, a former CIA agent and wife of Bobby III, himself an actor and screenwriter who once ran a website dedicated to fact-checking political statements. The two met at Burning Man. It's just the most incredible group of people.
Oh, just to see. It's like the sentences don't end.
Wow.
Yeah, no, of course not. In the immediate wake of the assassination attempt, Trump, who back in May had called Bobby a wasted protest vote, started calling for him to receive Secret Service protection. Now, to be frank, I don't disagree with this. I think another dead Kennedy would not improve the sanity of our domestic political situation.
It would be bad, yeah.
But the aftermath of that led Trump to reach out to RFK Jr. personally. The two had a phone call, which Kennedy filmed himself taking for reasons that are somewhat unclear, but very likely related to the brainworm.
I mean, it's usually that, right?
Yeah. An article by the AP describes the scene. The video shows Kennedy listening on a speakerphone as Trump shares disproven claims about childhood vaccines, an issue that has helped Kennedy amass a loyal following. Trump also appears to pitch Kennedy on endorsing his campaign. I would love you to do so, Trump tells Kennedy, and I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you, and we're going to win. Kennedy leaked the video of this call, again, for unclear reasons. Not sure why it got out. Subsequent reporting has provided us with more details. In a shock to those who saw RFK Jr.'s campaign as a Trump op, the calls apparently featured Bobby begging for a quid pro quo job in exchange for endorsing Trump, and doing so to such a blatant extent that it worried Trump staffers, right? They were probably okay with actually giving him something, but the way he mentioned it, they were like, well, shit, if he's recording this or something, we could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Which, probably why he was recording it, I guess.
Maybe. Now, RFK Jr. wanted to secure himself a post overseeing health and safety in the next Trump administration. Discussions between the two during this recorded call included possible jobs he could get at the cabinet level, because that doesn't require Senate confirmation. And this would have been in exchange for Kennedy dropping out and endorsing Trump. Further information has since come out that provides, I think, a concrete idea of what Bobby would seek to do if given a position of power in a presidential administration. And unfortunately, it's something that gels all too well with some of the plans members of the fascist right have already put forward. In a virtual Latino town hall last week, Kennedy floated the idea of wellness farms, which is, these are basically American gulags, right? He wants you to be able to send drug addicts and people who are on antidepressants for years of mandatory work therapy, right? Not just people who are like convicted of drug possession, but people who are on ADHD meds. He describes the goal of these facilities as to reparent people. And of course, since Kennedy believes cell phone radiation is poisonous, people interned in these camps would not have access to the internet or any way to communicate to the outside world. So that's cool.
Good
and evil.
It's so, I mean, he's not the only one. This is so blatant and weird. And like, it's just so funny. So many people on the right just trying to like portray themselves as like, you know, we're like the party of freedom, and then half their ideas are like, well, put people in camps obviously to work, but also
work camps that they can't leave.
Vote.
Sure.
Like we should only have like the head of the household vote or whatever it is, where it's just like so anti the thing they are desperately trying to pretend that they are. I don't know if it's going to work for that long.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to last.
I don't know either. It seems like very suddenly it may have stopped working as well. I guess we'll see how long this vibe shift lasts. But
yeah, we'll see. I think it like so many things coalesce at the same time, but like Biden just kind of fading into the background really opened things up. I think for people to realize like, oh, look at these freaks and look at the flawed but mostly normal people. And really, really up that contrast, because when you contrast the freaks with like this old goat, it's like, what can you say? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it lasts. But
we'll see if it lasts. You know, I do think it's interesting. I'm kind of compelled by what we've seen, like, because it seems like there's some evidence that people within Trump world or people backing him, if not the campaign itself, wanted to push and support Bobby because they thought he could take enough votes away to hurt Biden. And it kind of seems like a lot of the evidence suggests he takes more votes from Trump. And I'm kind of wondering, I'm wondering if what we saw from Trump offering him this job is like a result of kind of panic over that. We thought we had control of this guy, and specifically we thought we had control of how he was going to like play in the world.
Yeah, he's running as a Democrat, then he's independent, so he's gonna take some Democrats, but like the Democratic Party generally and the electorate kind of rejected him generally. So this is not gonna work. He's
kind of gone rogue. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see how that works.
We'll see. It is funny how like they keep doing that. Like they keep sort of like realizing like, oh wait, we miscalculated all this. Like from like honestly from the day after we recorded part 1 and 2, from like that moment on, it's just been like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to react to anything that happens. They don't know the messaging they need to go forward with any event. And it just seems like a 2 to 3 week long, just sort of like crumbling of this, house of what's flimsier than cards. It's a little house of Post-it notes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. They thought that they crammed the whole right as this coalition of all of the weird, the bad weird in this country, and they crammed it into a tiny sack, and felt like it had enough weight to it that they could swing it and do some damage. But as soon as the sack breaks open, like now there's just nutso shit everywhere, and people are angry
everywhere
at the guy who was swinging the sack. Like
and like there's like an element of like, oh, they're just swinging the sack at like this old guy who like I can't even understand.
I don't really like him either. Like, this isn't my problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that guy's gone. Now it's just like, quit swinging your sack around.
Why are you doing this?
Get
What's
these
wrong with you?
Freaks out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's
What's wrong with you?
I should note before we leave, the entire Kennedy family basically has disavowed Bobby. All of his siblings that are left alive. Everybody has been like, and he got pushed out of Riverkeeper too. His involvement with these charities, because they were like, you can't one day come on and be like, climate change is real, we have to deal with it, and then the next day be like, vaccines aren't real, right? Like you're hurting the cause at this point by being tied to this shit. So,
I mean, does he even say that climate change is real anymore?
I don't know if he said it lately.
Because I'm pretty sure he's like
talked about it in the past. Al Gore did the forward to this book.
Yeah, it just seems like it's something he would, like there's that group of people who've like kind of gravitated towards like, well, it's either like it is real, but it's not a big deal, or like it was a big deal, but we kind of fixed it, so we don't need to do anything about it anymore.
Yeah.
Curious about that camp, but
me too.
Yeah.
Well, Cody, that's the showdy.
We did it.
How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for the showdy and the knowledge of I learned too much about this guy.
Are you interested in getting...
Yeah, we all know too much about this guy now.
Now, Cody, are you interested in getting a pet hawk? I just feel like
a little bit.
You could pull it off.
Thank you so much. I think that my dog and cat would not enjoy that.
Fair.
I would love it if Bobby just started carrying the hawk around, like get a new hawk and become a hawk guy.
Why is he not doing that?
Yeah. At least then, there's something fun about it instead of just like, well, he's kind of killing people and lying about it.
Except for all of the killing people.
Getting his babysitters to oil him up. God.
God. Well,
but only her. He only ever did to her. So
what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we're done.
Anyway,
any pluggables?
Thanks for having
Cody?
me. Check me out online. I'm Dr. Mr. Cody on social media. I've got a podcast called Even More News and a web YouTube show called Some More News. It's every Wednesday. Usually, we just did an episode about Tim Pool. We got some Jordan Peterson climate change stuff coming up. I don't know when this is going to come out. I have a band called The Hot Shapes. We're on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. Check it out.
Awesome. And
listen to stuff.
Check out Cool Zone Media's newest show hosted by Molly Conger called Weird Little Guys. On the day this episode is released, episode 0 and episode 1 are out now. Robert, anything else?
Nope. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm going to go nap.
Goodbye.
Yeah, me too.
Bye.
Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slipcovers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit washablesofas.com to get yours now. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.